Thank you to our Conversation Liquidity patron for this episode, Matcha. Matcha aggregates 130 plus DEXs to get you amazing prices on over 5 million tokens. Swap for free, swap without gas, or swap across chains, all in one place. Matcha.xyz. Search, trade, done. GM Farcaster. It is Friday, May 17th, and you are here with Adrian and Nounish Prof for not only 29 minutes of Farcaster news to start your day, but a little bit of an interview as well. So we're going to go a little bit longer today, but we have Itai here from Dynamic, and we're super excited. So GM Itai, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me. This is very exciting. I didn't realize it's 29 minutes exactly. This makes it so much more, like so much cooler.
And we
tried. We never hit it.
We've never hit it.
So we used to be 21 minutes. And we did hit it for a long time. And then like frames happened and Degen happened and we have never hit 21 ever again. So we just bumped to
29. But do you measure it from 9 or it's 29 from going live?
From going live.
Okay, so, fair enough.
Yeah. So we'll see. When we have an interview, we don't even attempt. We don't even attempt to try and stick to it.
I have trust in us. I think as a group we'll make it happen.
We try to keep it under 30 because no one's got time.
Deal.
No one's got
Sounds
time.
awesome.
You know, everybody's busy. We're here for the busy people, right? We are here for the builders and the founders and all the things, and you know, everybody's busy. So try and keep it short and give you just the stuff you need, the news you need. We're having some lag. Interesting. Okay. So let's go, Adrian. Adrian's driving today because my computer is being cranky. So we'll let Adrian drive. So Adrian, what's up? What's our first? What are we chatting about?
Just shout out if it's laggy. We are double streaming on another platform that is known for video. I won't say which one, but if you're on Lonely that we love you on Lonely, but there might be another platform you can move to just for today.
Good point. Good point. We love on Lonely, but we're also on YouTube. So if you're having any lagging issues, please pop over there as well. Okay, Adrian.
All right, let's pop up.
I'm letting you drive.
Today.
You ready? I'll do it.
There we go.
There you go.
Let's start with
what do we got?
Retro grants. This is, I believe, the first official retro grants coming from the Merkle team.
From 2024? Maybe.
Have they done these before?
I don't think they've done these.
They've done them before. They've definitely done them before. But this might be the first one for 2024. I can't remember them doing any this year. Possibly, but cool. These are all for different development projects. So I saw DF on there. I saw a few others. And Itai, any thoughts on the way in which they sort of approach this developer grant process? Like, has there been, I don't know if Dynamics had any opportunity to take advantage of that, or if that's been more like the one-off builders.
Yeah, no. So I'm a huge fan of this. First, Dynamic, to your question, did not, but that's a good thing. We're a venture-backed company. We have money. This should not go to companies like Dynamic. This should go to folks building open source software that has kind of, that is put out there and benefits. I would argue Dynamic benefits the community as a whole, but like this benefits the community as a whole. And you can see this right in the VM and Frog folks that kind of got the 20K prize. That is a perfect use case of that. For instance, Dynamic actually is a sponsor of this project as well. So VM and Frog are sponsored by Dynamic as well. So this is I'm loving this. I am really.
Can you quick TLDR on Frog? I know it's involved in sort of the background of all these different apps that are using and doing sign in and all this with Warpcast, with Farcaster, but I don't fully understand exactly what the benefits are. If you can do a quick, what is Frog?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, just context of that team, right? So that team is the team that built VM, which is today kind of the most popular way to interact with Web3 and crypto on JavaScript, right? And then WAGMI, which was the original library with React hooks. And then what they did is they built Frog, which is essentially just a set of tools to make it really easy to build frames. So if you want to build like these really super fancy frames, there are really two routes for you to go. You can go the no-code route and use tools like Nanar or Pinata or others and kind of spin up full no-code type solutions. But then if you want to take it really to the next step, you probably need a set of tools. And that's where Frog and frames.js come in, which is just give you kind of a set of really nice tools to do it faster. So it just benefits the community, right? So we might leverage a Frog, for instance.
Oh, very cool. Okay. So I've been hearing a lot about Frog, and I heard a lot about it at FarCon too. When and I think DF was talking a little bit about it in his talk, and I wasn't fully understanding what it was. So that's really helpful. Adrian, any other thoughts on the retro grants?
Just the emphasis, and this went to not just developers but open source. So
Yes.
it's developers who were building without, and these are retro grants, which means they weren't building with any expectation of getting paid. They built something that is open source, meaning for the community to use, to build on. So I think it's really nice to see them getting recognition.
Yeah.
It feels like it's measured based on impact versus based on expectation of impact, right?
Yeah. Except for Farcaster admin. Except for Bardach, who deserves none of that reward. And
you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for that one. I still am not convinced that I met him at FarCon, by the way. He keeps saying that I did.
We've met. I did not meet him. And
I have to go double check my icebreaker. I have to go because he said he's like, I tapped your badge too. And I'm like, wait a minute. When? Why? How? So I'm sus. I'm sus on that one.
We love you, Bardach. We love you, Bardach.
We love you, Bardach. This is all good
You tricked me one time. I fell for one of your stupid little trolling traps because I was being genuine, and I will never forgive you. So there you go.
So now you know. Don't mess with Adrian.
So
okay, Adrian, next. Let's move on. So this is from Airstack. Go ahead. I'll let you read this up.
Season 3. I didn't, I was sleeping on season 1 and 2, but season 3 of Airstack, not a token, rewards are ready to claim. Over 1 million Degen is claimable in a frame. 96,403 Farcasters earned this round. And they earned it from casting, from building frames, from swapping, and from building apps. Learn more with a link. Did you claim yours?
I claimed mine. I had some. Yeah. I had a little bit in there. I think it was like around 7,000 or something. Yeah. I claimed.
Oh, I missed mine. I didn't realize I had completely.
Go check it out.
I feel like I'm like late to the party. This is cool. What is it for?
I think the seasons that they're doing is like weekly. So don't feel like you missed too much.
Oh,
Adrian.
okay.
But it's part of they first did this as part of they launched a swap in a frame where you could swap, Degen for USDC, etc. And you earned something called not a token from them. And then they started doing some rewards for other actions as well. So it's really promoting like what Airstack is doing and building in the background of their data and all of that. And it's probably, we got a couple, I'm looking for, I thought I saw Alex. Yeah, Alex is Alex, if we're saying anything wrong, please correct us, who's in our chat. So please correct us, but I think that is correct. Yeah.
That's really cool. So. Yeah. It's 96,000 people that are eligible. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a third.
Not eligible, but actually earned. And you don't have to do anything ahead of time. You don't have to go to Airstack and say, hey, I want to be, considered. You don't have to sign up. It's just, if you're active on Farcaster, you're getting these kind of not a token points, which are then redeemable for Degen.
Oh, that's fancy.
And I loved, Alex just said this in our chat, proof of work through social contribution. I like that.
Can't be gamed, can't be botted. Sounds like a challenge, Alex. Sounds like a challenge
challenge to the bots, but okay.
I honestly, I like this in the retro thing. I like the fact that it's retroactive in the sense, right? And I think you mentioned this. You can't game it because you don't actually know what the system is until after the fact, right? So it's measured by impact, not by, how you frame your, no pun intended, the impact.
Exactly.
And by the way, and shout out, the frame experience was very smooth. So you kind of click through, you can check how much your rewards are. I've already claimed mine, so I won't do it, but it tells you how much, and you can go to click and same. So super, super easy. I said we've come a long way since January.
That's awesome.
It's huge.
All right.
Moving on. This from Base, join Onchain Summer Buildathon all June. 8 tracks, 200 plus ETH in prizes, open to anyone worldwide. And we will definitely be joining this. We have something that will be dropping next week. Hopefully, almost all the pieces are in place for what we're going to be doing for Onchain Summer. Excited. Adrian, are you excited about Onchain Summer? I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. Got my sunblock and my sunglasses, and
I got my sunglasses
we'll be
too.
partying on chain. We'll be partying on chain all summer.
I got my sunglasses ready to go.
Whoa, those are cool.
These are the noggles. Yep, I got my purple
noggles. Did you miss them
noggles.
at
FarCon?
We had them at FarCon. Did you miss them?
I know. I missed
no.
them. I feel like I saw them, and then by the time I was trying to find the root way to get it, they were all out. It's very sad.
I have a bunch still. I have about I don't know, 1,100 of them at my house. So I'll get you some for sure. We will make that happen.
That's on record. That's on video, right?
And we've got it on record, and also it will be on chain because we put all of our all of our episodes as NFTs. So I will make sure.
Love it.
It's an enforceable contract.
By the way, just on the on-chain thing, we're also stay tuned and follow the Dynamic channel. We're also going to announce an on-chain summer bounty on this as well. So stay tuned for that. It's coming very soon.
Very cool. That's very cool.
I thought Itai, was that not announced? Did I see that?
Not just unless the team already did this without me knowing, which I wouldn't be surprised because they do stuff significantly better than me. But I think it's next week.
All right, that's a mark of a good team. Don't ask. Don't ask for permission.
This is why Adrian, we are such good co-founders. Sometimes she'll do stuff and then I'll be like, "Oh, I was just thinking we should do that," and she's already done it.
Exactly.
It's like
fantastic.
Makes my life significantly better.
Fantastic. And this from Polluter of Minds. Go ahead. I'll let you read it, Adrian.
If you're a paying Pinata customer and you build frames, respond to this message or send me a direct cast. I have questions. So many questions. But for real, I want to chat about some ideas.
We love this. I love, you know what? I love that Warpcast gets used for where you have sort of live customer service, if you will, where people are really connecting. So it's like you're connecting with your customer. I don't know if you find this with Dynamic as well, where it's very easy to have sort of organic conversations and feedback and have that connection that's a little different than you see on other platforms like Twitter and things like that.
Absolutely. We actually see that daily, right? So daily, we actually either get a question in our channel or get a direct cast or someone tags us on kind of even small things like issues someone's facing and logging into a thing, right? And someone tags us and it's a very good way for us to jump on it very quickly. So yeah, absolutely. This is one of the huge advantages of Farcaster is exactly that, right? Is you can actually talk to folks very, very quickly.
Absolutely. I agree. Go ahead. Adrian.
We got to talk about Rome.
Talk about Rome.
And if you were, I don't know if you were active on Farcaster last night, was there anything being casted besides Rome?
I didn't see anything besides Rome.
All I saw were recasts. So Zen from zenbh.eth, introducing Rome, the social on-chain browser. You can download it. It's still in a
test flight. Yeah,
test flight.
But
there is watch and mint the video. It's about a minute long, but it's a good one. Join the Rome channel. Be early. So this is a social browser, rethinking kind of how we navigate the internet with wallet baked in. So not going back.
Interesting. Really interesting.
So read the thread and test it out.
Ooh, it's pretty cool. And I played around. I started playing around with it.
I love it with wallet baked in. Did you?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
What do you think it has in terms of an advantage over like a regular browser?
So
Like
Mike just said
what's the advantage?
it maybe comes back to the dynamic hypothesis, and we'll get to it. But like everything's better with financial rails attached, right? And so inherently, the fact that you can one click potentially start buying, selling things one click as you go to websites is this like really cool. Hopefully, creates this really cool experience, right? So everything's better. It's not just financial rails. It's financial rails, identity rails, like the ability to like do multiplayer stuff. So if you can easily go to website A, buy a thing, then go to website B, leverage that, go to website C, interact with someone else. Like that creates like this magical experience. It's like these extra rails that should have existed on websites anyway that don't, and now like they do. So this is a very long answer, but think about it. Very similar to how when Coinbase actually launched the Coinbase wallet, like in 2016, 17, can't remember at this point. Like that's how they pitched it. I don't know if you remember that, but that a very long time ago, they actually
I don't remember
that, which is pretty cool.
Oh wow, that's wild. I don't remember that. That's really interesting, and I can't wait. We're going to talk a little bit about Smart Wallet in just a bit. Adrian, let's grab a couple more stories, and then we'll shift to our interview with Dynamic. So go ahead. What you got for us next?
Oh, from Matcha, where y'all seeing this too. And I don't know exactly. It was Matcha logo in the Northern Lights.
Matcha logo with the Northern Lights, but maybe it was there. I didn't get to see the full show, so it's possible.
It was.
I love the.
It was cloudy where I is. Sense of humor. So no.
Who runs their social account? Who runs their social account?
Are they good?
Are they looking for a new job? Because I kind of.
Trying to steal the team.
This was one great cast.
It was a good one. It was a good one. They did well with that one. I love this from YB, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, just went on a 45-minute walk, and I've decided to build a client for terminally on-chain TOC. I don't know how it will look, but I want to try building it and have fun with it. All I know is mobile, hyper-sub-gated, will share weekly build updates on TOC newsletter. TOC has a ton of smart people that I can jam with and make this client useful.
I love this. Really cool. I think we're going to see a lot more like very niche clients, and I think that's going to be interesting. Thoughts on that? Like on people building sort of these smaller niche channel clients? What do you think about that?
I think Dan mentioned this in Farcon, which is he has this hypothesis that I agree with, which is every subreddit can be like a $10 billion business, and it's the same thing here, right? Which is every channel can be its own community. And there's an article, I can't remember who mentioned this to me, but someone mentioned this to me, which is we live in the world of niches, and like that you can actually create really cool communities per niche. And so this is an example of that, where a niche of specifically bought in people can actually create a very like prosperous, maybe is the right word, community for this. I don't know, but essentially this was an extremely long way of saying I am loving this. This is exactly cool. We'll see this at bigger scale over time.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I love the Farcaster energy. It's like, had an idea, let's just do it and do it in public with the people. To do it. Yeah.
It's like very similar to a lot of how I launch things. Like, took a walk.
Oh, my writer's hackathon, and YB is going to help with that too. But we're doing a writer's hackathon, a Farcaster writing hackathon in June. Details next week. But I was on a walk and I was like, oh, we should do this. And then I casted to see if there was interest, and there was interest, and now we're doing it.
That's awesome.
And I love that you moved so fast, because we had talked about maybe doing something in the fall, and then you're like, I just want to do it now.
No, we're going to do something in the fall. We're doing something different.
I know,
in the fall,
but I mean, I like that you just, you're
small.
like, let's do it now. Let's just do a small version of it now. I love that. Okay, what else do we got? And then let's shift to Dynamic.
Oh, you want to do Degen L3 updates?
Yeah, really quick. Degen L3 has been down, and there's some updates here from Jacek. There's a whole thread that will go through what happened and what they're doing to remedy that, but it is back online, so everything should be working properly now. So if you have any questions, go check that thread. And then
this was a good conversation that
this was interesting.
started. Somebody has to pay for data storage. In Web 2, the advertisers pay the tech company who pays for storage. On Farcaster, we pay fees to the protocol, but those fees just sit in the protocol treasury, for example, i.e. they're not spent on anything yet. So who is actually paying for the storage? Forgive if dumb question. By the way, one of my favorite channels is Afraid to Ask. So thank you, Six, who's kind of a big, vocal, smart thought leader around here too. So like, just everyone keep asking the dumb questions.
Because they're not that dumb. Yeah,
they're not.
And I thought I knew the answer to this, and I was wrong. So I appreciated this.
Like,
question.
who's actually paying that electrical bill to run run that server? And is it the people paying to run hubs? And that's kind of, so Dan jumps in. Anyone finding it valuable enough to run a hub? For what it's worth, this is the same model as Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're not all getting paid via staking or mining.
And that was so that was a thing recently, or not that long ago. They did stop the rewards for hubs. So there are a lot of people who are running hubs that aren't getting any kind of reward. They were doing some retro grants for a while to hubs, and they haven't been doing them, I think, for a bit. So they did stop that.
What's the incentive to run the hub then?
I think some people are
data.
running them. Yeah, access to data.
Local access to data, like you have it, it's yours, it's close, you can do what you want with it. You're not relying on someone else. So I think it's
I see.
Local copy.
Essentially. So you can essentially do like a Dana or Pinata thing where you essentially charge for an Airstack and you run the nodes, you pay for that, but then you charge for added service on top of that.
Exactly. I was just going to say, some of the larger, company businesses that are building on Farcaster are also running them for that reason.
Yeah.
So that
like a node as a service, essentially, similar to an Alchemy. I mean, to Dan's point, similar to an Alchemy or a Quick Node or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody dropped by the way, in our chat in Unlonely, sometimes you can let things fly up so that, and this is how they get my attention. And they sent a 100 Degen. It doesn't work that way. Yes, to crypto. Like, you can't just let it fly in the chat. It won't land in my wallet that way. I'm just, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, maybe it does.
Now I've got $1, 1 Degen from Dwoofy. Thank you.
Another question in the chat is,
if it did work that way, that would be cool. But it doesn't. Go ahead. What were you saying? Another question in the chat.
Grace ship it. Yeah. Are warps dead? I don't know why asking about warps.
Oh, that's what the hubs were getting. Hubs were getting warps.
Oh.
And there are still use cases for warps. But
Minting.
Mostly right now, I think it'll be interesting to see if there's a shift after channels moves to the protocol level. Because that, to me, is the biggest use of warps, right? Is to purchasing
channels and channel passes, which are both going away.
And channel passes, right? Which are both going away. So, good question. I don't know what the use case for warps will be besides tipping, but now we have all these other ways to tip. So, I don't know. That's a good question. To be known, to be seen. But let's shift gears a little bit. To our interview with Itai, but let's start. One last thing from Matcha and OX Labs. I didn't know you were going there. So building in DeFi, they go ahead and read that if you can.
All right, sure. Building in DeFi. Here we go. DeFi is not sustainable yet. A big challenge is how to create sustainable business models so the space is not dependent on VC funding forever. 0x Project has been leading this effort, packed with learnings from our journey since 2017. Here's our take with a post.
With a whole
across DeFi.
More deep dive into that. Yeah, which I thought was very cool as well. Can you bring up the from TLDR too after this?
Yes, but I'm going to do one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Very important news story before we move on. Sam has been busy.
Sam is busy. He's busy. He took some time off.
So how does everyone keep up when you take a few days off from Farcaster? Please,
and thank you, Heavyweight.
Please go into this and tell him how you do that.
Go
Thank
go
you.
tell some how you keep up with Farcaster when you can't keep up with Farcaster.
Oh,
And
I'm
it
sorry.
was
the first comment.
yeah, the
The-
first comment was from Heavyweight saying GM Farcaster is of course
Yeah.
the way you keep up. I mean,
That's the
of
only
course.
right answer. That's the only
right,
right
we're
answer.
ready
Are you
to-
trying to build a? You're trying to pull up X right now?
We're ready to move on, but I actually just separately, and we don't need to talk about it, but Vitalik had some things to say about Farcaster
Not like it things to
on
say.
X.
Yeah.
But guess what? Something went wrong on
It
X.
won't come up right now.
and It won't come
Wait,
up.
try it again.
So
Try again. What happens when you click? Oh, look at
Nothing.
that.
Look at that.
I think honestly, that is his statement. That X is not
There you go.
maybe X is not the future. That's
Yeah, X is not the future.
as
Or
clearly
Farcaster
illustrated
is.
by this page.
So I did love
let's get
his
to the fun
comment.
part.
His comment was just basically, you're on a centralized platform preaching decentralization instead of being over on Farcaster. Or he did shout out Lens, but it seemed like an afterthought. I'm just saying. Just saying. It did seem like that way. All right, and let's. I do want to show this from Bracket Game and TLDR. Bracket Game gets a lot of praise for our smooth and easy onboarding. We couldn't do it without Dynamic. Highly recommend for creating a walletless on-chain experience. And I thought that was really good to see. And one of the things that we're launching for On-Chain Summer next week will involve Bracket Game. So I did not know that Dynamic was behind Bracket Game's whole onboarding. So that was very cool. So how did that all come about? And maybe what we do is back up a smidge. And for those who do not know, what is Dynamic and what have you been building in terms of Farcaster?
Yeah,
Let's start
absolutely.
there.
So let's start with that, and then whenever Tim sends a message like that, it makes my day. So I asked him. I'll ask him again. He should send one a week. I think that will just make life significantly better. Very quickly, what is Dynamic? So we are a 2.5-year-old company. We're kind of a Series A company backed by A16Z Crypto and Founders Fund. At the very, very basic level, we do everything that happens when you click login or sign up. And that can mean a couple things. It can mean that if you're using a service or building a service that has a Farcaster login, it can be login with Farcaster. If you're building a service that targets Web3 customers, it can be wallet login, multi-chain wallet login across EVM and Solana and Bitcoin and Cosmos. Or it can be, in the case of a Bracket Game, when you click login, an email or social or passkey-based login that creates a wallet for you. So at the very, very, very basic level, it's everything that happens after you click login and the entire user management and helping developers kind of manage how users interact with their platform and how over time they interact not just within their platform, but across platforms within the kind of crypto ecosystem. So that's really what we do. A different way of saying that is Web3 version of Auth0, which is a Web2 company owned by Okta.
And I love the idea of the cross chain because we see a lot of, different things happening on different chains. And most of the time it's difficult to do that, cross chain connections. So that's very cool to see that happening more. And I've even seen that, within Warpcast having Solana now coming on.
Prof,
What's that? Am I hanging out anywhere but
Ethereum?
Ethereum?
Hanging out on other chains?
No. You should
occasionally I do. Not very often.
Join the dark side.
Itai, are you active on Solana?
I have done very little on Solana, and it's been a long time since I have.
Really?
But I do have a wallet hanging out somewhere. I have a phantom wallet somewhere with a couple things in there. But and same thing with Bitcoin. Like I hold, and that's it. And occasionally somebody tries to get me to buy some kind of ordinal, and I'm like, it's a lot of work. But I do think, it's a lot of work to switch change to do. So I think anything that makes it easier to interact with all these different chains that, especially switching and things like that, I think that's super helpful because
Oh, go for it. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say like that 100%, like this entire concept of chains should be something we should not talk about in 3 years. Right. Like it.
Ideally. Yeah.
It makes It's the equivalent of talking about the protocols you use to send emails, or the equivalent of what protocols are used for me to access the website, right? It is a fundamental key piece of infrastructure, but it is not something that my parents should care about, right? And so I really hope that and we're starting to see, by the way, signals of this, right? I really hope that if you want to buy a thing on Solana, you just buy the thing. And the fact that it's on Solana is completely irrelevant for you.
But
yeah,
it's my
that would be
personality.
ideal. It's yeah. My personality is Ethereum.
But my personality is, and I don't like, so that was a joke.
It's really, I really do feel that way though. There's definitely weirdness to that, like where people are a little bit defined by the chain in which they spend most of their time. Like laser eye Bitcoin people, and like I don't know. There's something different about Ethereum people. It's really funny. It's really funny, and Solana is all kinds of crazy. So,
by the way, the most stark example of this is like Block, where Jack Dorsey literally forbids them from adding Ethereum, which is wild to me.
It's so interesting. He's very much loves Bitcoin, loves the idea of cryptocurrency, but that's it. He won't touch anything else. And I find that very interesting. Same thing. So that's why Cash App only has Bitcoin. You can buy, that's it. But I also recommend that, or especially a couple of years ago, I would recommend that to students because it was just easy. And again, this goes to sort of a lot of what you're building. The easier you make it for people to onboard, the more likely is they will, right? Because as soon as we add a lot of that friction, people stop at some point and just give 100%. Up. So yeah, it's Keith Grossman from now MoonPay, but used to be Timepieces, would talk about, his mother. His mother is not going to deal with wallets and seed phrases. Like there's no way. So until it's as easy for Keith Grossman's mother, it's not easy enough. So that's up to you, Itai. You're in charge of that part.
Ironically, I was literally talking to Keith about exactly that. Like that's funny. It is exactly, you're 100% right. Like it's look, and there's some use cases where the way we think about the world is there's some use cases where crypto is going to be front and center, right? And then you kind of want that interaction. And there are some use cases where crypto is the rails, right? It's the financial rails, it's the identity rails, it's the ownership rails. But you should not care. You should not care for the same reason where you shouldn't care where Visa settles via ACH or Visa settles via a different method. Right? You should not. It should completely be invisible to you. And that's what we're going for, right? There's still like 7 orders of complexity to get there. But ideally over time, and sorry, this is an extremely long monologue, so apologies, but like ideally over time, like companies have this like crypto enabled stack, which is just a set of tools to completely abstract away crypto while getting all the benefits, right? And so you'll see that across authentication, embedded wallets, account abstraction, on-ramp, off-ramp, like swaps across chains, bridging. Ideally, that kind of gets squished into a single provider that just abstracts that away from you in a very similar way, where you just use a single Stripe thing and you don't care that they work with like hundreds of banks globally across like multiple payment rails to make a thing work.
Right. So, I shouldn't have to know any of that. I just want it to work. Right. I just want it to work and be easy. And I think about this you just mentioned bridging. Bridging's even gotten so much easier, but it could be even easier, right? There's still challenges, but I remember like 2 years ago trying to bridge something from Polygon, and it would be like all day long. It wouldn't work. It would take days, like just to finally get it to work. And it was crazy, so and it would cost a lot of money too. You'd lose a lot in the transition. So it's like we've come a long way just from that, but there's just so much more to do. So it's great to see like these tools just becoming easier and easier. And I think Bracket Game is a great example of what you're talking about, where you can have people who want to interact with this who don't care about the crypto side of it. Like they don't want to know what a wallet is, and they don't want to know what a blockchain is. They just think this is cool. And they want to play, and they want to be involved, and they, want to support a player or whatever it is. So yeah, it's really,
or bet on their friends playing pickleball.
Or bet on their friends playing pickleball.
Love you, Team Adrian.
Which is really the meaning of life. I think
Actually, that's why we're here.
exactly. But no, in all seriousness, right, to your point, like bracket game, what makes bracket game incredible is not the fact that it's a crypto enabled, it's a crypto game. The fact that what makes bracket game incredible, especially the pickleball example, is you get a whole new type of interaction that is harder to do without crypto rails, right? And you can essentially, and that is the magical part, right? And so no one needs to know it's actually crypto. You just get this extra benefit of, hey, you have assets now. You can transfer money out easily. You can actually one day go with the bracket game, interact with the second site, given you have a team or anything like that. You can maybe open channels on a second app and say, hey, everyone on team pickleball, a TLDR.
Adrian.
Right? Exactly. Adrian. You can,
see, Adrian had a team.
Yeah, exactly. You can.
We lost in the first round. I'm sorry, everyone who bought my team.
Oh, did you lose the first round? Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. I full disclosure, I've never played pickleball, and so I'm like, for bracket game, I'm just waiting for NFL season to come back. That's really, and I've asked them to reach out to the NFL to accelerate that, and they said no, but we'll see. But essentially, like that's the magic of bracket game, right? It's not, and that's why, like, where we work very closely with their team is how do you abstract away as much crypto as possible? Like, no, the word should not exist in that app. I mean, it
makes it very simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also things that, like, for those who are crypto native, there's like other, aspects to it that we can appreciate as well. So you don't lose that part of it while making it so easy for everybody else. And I think that's
exactly. You don't lose, I think, two things that are critical. And those are the things I think that we'll talk about with the Coinbase Smart Wallet and other global wallet type stuff. You don't lose interoperability, and you don't lose permissionless innovation, right? And composability. Essentially, the idea that you can very easily take what you've built on bracket game and use it in game, in like kind of experience number two. And the second is that experience number two doesn't have to call up bracket game and say, hey, can I partner with you on this thing? But rather they can build something and create leverage a community very, very easily. That's, as long as we don't lose those two, then you should abstract away as much as humanly possible.
So it's interesting that you say that too, because the thing that we're building, we're tapping into something special for our hypersub group. So our NFTs can play a role as part of, a way in which we interact with bracket game. And that's the crypto rails because of that, and which we couldn't do otherwise if it wasn't built on crypto rails. So
that's exactly right.
To that point.
That's exactly right. It enables this like really cool interaction. It enables multiplayer mode for the internet. That's the way I would call it, right? It enables multiplayer mode, permissionless multiplayer mode for the internet.
Love that.
I love
Adrian,
this.
Sorry, I cut you off before. What did you say?
I already forget what I oh no, I was just gonna say, Itai, I just appreciate you kind of this point of view, because one, I think I needed to hear it for myself, because being, most of us have had.
Are you gonna call yourself a normie again? Don't call yourself a normie.
No,
again.
I was gonna call myself a nerd. But like,
Okay,
I've
better.
loved having to, I took a 3-month crypto, like a full stack dev course, because I needed to know how blockchains work. Like I wanted to know actually how blockchains work. Like, what does it mean to be immutable? How to, so I have a little bit of that. Like, I want to know actually why there's different chains. So you're right though, long-term, it should not matter. And how do I, like, if you want to envision, like, how do it's probably something I should flip in my own switch of head of like, it's okay to not know everything.
But you should, right? Like, I think there's nuance here, right? Which is you should know, right? You have an interest in this, right? You should understand like the different trade-offs, right? For the same reason that like, if you're interested in how the internet runs, you should know about BGPs and like all that type of stuff, and like how how underwater cables connect us all, right? And which companies control, like you should have, and how much Google controls, right? Like you should be able to know that, but only if you care.
If you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Keith's mom doesn't care. Keith's mom does not care.
Exactly. Well, that's fair. Okay. Totally fair. That's completely. Although I heard she actually is very into L2s. L2.
Okay.
And specifically
This is
Degen
exciting.
L3. But that's
This is exciting.
yeah.
I haven't caught up with Keith in a while, so it's funny. Adrian, did you have another cast that you wanted to pull? Because I see something waiting, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to go to
we
that.
pulled a few. Well, we had
Okay.
pulled a few, but I don't remember.
Maybe the Coinbase Smart Wallet one.
So
Yeah,
we had
grab that. Oh, that one. Grab that one. Yeah, let's do that one.
What's
This was really
one?
cool. Dynamic demo environment. I thought this was really neat where you can collab with others instantly. I thought that was very cool. And also this demo that you were showing was pretty neat. And there was another thing similar to this with consumer crypto. So is this a way for teams to work on something together very easily? Is that what?
Yeah, so there are a
That's what I
couple
took it
things
as?
here. So this is the Coinbase Smart Wallet, and we can touch upon that in a second. But what we found, Dynamic plays two roles, right? It's an infrastructure product, but it's also something your end consumers see, right? So you set up Dynamic, and your end consumers actually see Dynamic. So it plays a very important part in your user experience and UI. And the easiest way, I think, to convey that is what we built in a demo environment. And what we see daily is folks play around with it and say, okay, this is what I want for my app, right? Okay, I've configured it this way. This is what I want for my app. This is what I want to buy. This is what I want to set up. But then the reason we added sharing is the next step of that is, okay, now I need to send it to my designer or anything like that and kind of get them to implement that, right? And so that was a missing link for collaborating and turning the demo environment from just a place where you can poke around and see what's possible to a place where you can say, okay, this is actually the structure I want for my system, right? And so that is the sharing. Now, the other
That's because the designers were yelling at the devs and they were like, give me access. And they were like, we can't. And now they can. So there you go.
That's exactly.
And I did notice something in a different cast talking about pixel. You can get it down to the pixel perfect.
Yes,
that is. Change colors and design and all of that, which I think is really helpful as well.
Oh,
making it your own.
This one.
Yeah. Yes, that's important. And, oh, go for it. Sorry, Amy.
Yeah. I was just going to say that's such a good point that you bring up. Like you're an infrastructure company, but you're actually user experience. Like it's your front facing, and also it's like what people see when they're first logging into somewhere. So
is important. First impression.
In my experience, I found, by the way, like the people who are really, really good at infrastructure don't always understand kind of customer user experience and that. So it seems like you have to walk that line, thread that needle, and know both.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where so our thesis is that no one wakes up in the morning and says, let me assign two of my best engineers to rebuild our login flows, right? Like that's usually way last in your prioritization. But that's actually like surprisingly it's one of the most important flows for conversion, right? It's one of the most, it is the first thing your customers see when they interact with you. And so it's a flow you really have to get right? And so there's a balance here of, okay, I don't want to rebuild the wheel or reinvent the wheel versus I need to get something that's very effective. Right? And that is a part of our value proposition, which is to say like, look, this is what we spend our day on. We wake up every day, for better or worse, sometimes worse, and think about login flows, right? And so inherently that means that we have to think about, you're right, we have to live in infrastructure land and we work with engineers and it's got to be performant and it's got to be secure and it's got to think about user management. But we also live in design land, which is how do you build this like magical experience, which is probably the first thing people see when they go to your app, right? The first thing people see is that login button. And so your journey actually starts there. How do you make that magical? And so that's where the pixel kind of down to the pixel comes in, which is literally you can change it. I can show 10 implementations of dynamic across sites, and they're all going to look very, very, very different. And that's by design. That's because every site has its own different types of optimization. The only reason we coined it super flexible is because we already had the naming out and we didn't want to change the GIF. So we said, okay, now it's officially coined super flexible.
I love it. And I think that, as you mentioned before, like the different ways in which people can choose to log in, whether it's passcode that's being sent, they're logging in as an email, they're logging in with a wallet, there's all these different options, and everyone's going to have a different reason for choosing their particular type of login flow. So I think that's super helpful for different, different purposes. Adrian, can you
are
pull up the
customers
smart?
asking?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but just
Go ahead.
on this, Itai, are customers asking for customized flows? Is this something that you brought because you think you wanted to do it? I'm just thinking of like the Web 2 version of sign in with Google.
Yeah.
It's more or less the same everywhere. Like, so I don't think when I do sign in with Google, I see the Google page. It looks the same. So did people ask you for custom
absolutely
kind of flows, or is that something you brought?
No. So short answer, absolutely. So every and I think Prof, you mentioned this as well, which is like so the way to think about it is there's no kind of one magical flow that is the most ideal flow for everyone. A social app might want phone first, mobile first, right? And maybe a Face ID. Like a DeFi app for like high net worth individuals will probably want email login or social or login with Google only, not Facebook. And will probably want 2-factor authentication and then additional kind of alerting, right? And so there's like a bunch of these options. As a result, you actually want to communicate very, very different things in that login flow, and that comes up daily, right? Because we have customers like Ondo Finance and Maple Finance on one hand, which are work with larger enterprises, versus a bracket game or a Jeeves on Farcaster as well, right? Which is they're just building very, very different things, right? And so we play in that space a little bit, so we got to offer both. Your point is right though, and actually the only place where you can't control, so every website you visit actually will probably have a different login flow. The place where you can change is as soon as you click a login with Google or Facebook, where there's a pop-up, because that's fully controlled by them, right? And that's for a very good security reason. And actually, I think you showed the Coinbase Smart Wallet kind of pop-up, it's similar in that sense, which is as soon as there's a pop-up, you can't actually control that anymore. This thing for a very good reason, which is like the Coinbase Smart Wallet cannot trust that the DApp it's on for anything essentially.
I think it makes sense too that for you to trust it, you the user, having it be the same in each place that you use it is probably helpful as well. Yeah. I can understand that.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So let's shift to Coinbase Wallet, Smart Wallet. First of all, what is a smart wallet and how is it different from the dumb wallet I've been using forever?
Fair enough. I would argue all wallets are smart wallets. No, I'm kidding. But there's the difference is the following, which is it comes back to what's called ep106, which is at the very basic level, a wallet. What is a regular dumb wallet? It is an interface on the top of a private public key, meaning I have a thing I can sign with, and I have a public key that everyone can know is mine, right? That is what a wallet is. It's just inherently a user interface on top of that. I save my private key in iCloud or on a passkey or anything of that sort, or in an NPC type solution or in a trusted execution environment. But at the very basic level, I have an interface on top of a private public key. That's an issue. Why is that an issue? Because I can't add any complex logic to that, right? It's just an interface on top of that very basic structure. What smart wallets are is just the next iteration of that. Instead of that interface on top of a private public key, they're an interface on top of a smart contract. So you can add that is on top of a private public key, meaning you've added a layer. Essentially what a smart wallet is a layer, a policy layer, a customization layer on top of a wallet that lets you do fancy stuff. That's inherently kind of smart wallets. They're just an extra layer of sophistication and programmability that it let you do really fancy stuff. In the case of Coinbase,
can you give us an example of these stuff? Like what's an example of that?
At the very basic level, one example. Let's come up with a couple of examples of fancy stuff. One of them is I want to. The concept of gas is a concept we talk about, but no one else should know about. right? I need to pay fees when I use the network. No one else should care about it. One fancy concept of this is I can just have someone else or like the developer pay the gas for the user. So they can kind of transact without knowing that concept exists. That is one fancy concept, right? The second is, let's say you're playing a game with your private public key. You essentially have to sign every transaction. A fancy concept is say, well, up to, $100, just automatically sign. Don't ask me. Just do it, like in the background. Right. So a second kind of fancy concept here is the concept of session keys, which is to say, hey, just abstract some actions that I don't ask me every time. And that is the second fancy concept. In the context of
so that makes a lot of sense if I'm thinking like, layer 2, layer 3 gaming and doing microtransactions within a game. That makes a lot of sense. Like where it's really tiny. Yeah.
Yes. That is an exact use case for that, which is gaming, which is actually Farcaster is a great example of this, which is, hey, whenever I post a message, I don't need to sign, right? Farcaster has this concept of like, hey, there's a delegated signer that can actually do something on my behalf and not ask me every time. That is an example of that, right? They have a slightly different implementation, but that's the example. In the case of the Coinbase Smart Wallet, what they did is they said, okay, well, if you have a Coinbase account, can we one click make it so you can buy any DeFi thing with money from your Coinbase account?
That's great. Without having to move it into the wallet.
Exactly. They call it Magic Spend. And it's like this portal that they built where you can actually kind of, connect your Coinbase account, and then they do some like smart logic policy to transfer and convert and get that to the right end result. And so that's like a magical thing, which is just, think about it as just an extra surface that they added to that private public key that we mentioned. It's just this like making wallets fancy is maybe the right tagline here.
So then it's instead of purchasing on like your Coinbase account where that is not self-custody, it's, custodial wallet by Coinbase. This is your own wallet without having to move it directly. It's like I'm just purchasing this thing and it's moving it for me because it knows that connection.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it blurs the lines that we had until today, which are I have custodial accounts and they're very secure, but they're mostly for trading, and you can't really. They're more about money. They're not about the technology side of crypto, of interacting with across sites and composability and all that fun stuff. And then you have non-custodial accounts, but non-custodial accounts have limitations, and they're harder to work with, and you have a browser extension and all that fun stuff. So smart wallets kind of start with a bunch of features, blur those lines. Right, and let you kind of have the best of both worlds a little bit and Magic Spend is a very good example. And I think we'll be hearing a lot more about it in the next couple months. I think people today, are still underestimating the impact of that feature. I think we'll see a lot more things there. So think about it as just a way to blur those lines.
And when does that launch officially? Because this was more like getting ready, right? Has it launched already, the smart wallet?
No, yeah, so it's still in testnet. So smart wallet's still in testnet. I think it's probably a couple weeks away, but Coinbase will be a better team to answer that versus me, because at the end of the day, it's this is a Coinbase product, and it kind of support it. That said, right, it's fine that it's taking a little bit of time, right? Because essentially this is, I think people very quickly understood the massive impact of the smart contract wallet, and specifically the Coinbase's implementation of you don't need a browser extension and you don't need a mobile app. It just kind of you click and it works with a passkey. And so that takes a little bit of time to like make, I think they're going to get so many users on day one that I like their approach of making sure that it's super robust and audited and all that fun stuff to be able to handle this massive scale that they're going to get on day one. Yeah. So, but putting on my sales hat for like 10 seconds, download the latest version of Dynamic, and you can play around with the testnet version. And the day it launches, you're going to have that available.
Oh, that's very cool. That's good to know. Adrian, I don't know if you have any questions about this, but I also want to give you time for your speed round. And we are coming up on the hour. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes, I have. Ita, we kind of finished all our interviews with lightning round questions.
I'm ready.
There were actually two. We talked so much. There were other kind of two bigger topics I had meant to delve into, which we're not going to, but I'll tease them maybe for the future. Yeah.
Me too. Version 2. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the topics because then maybe we can talk about it on the feed. But you had done a blog on the kind of third and fourth wallet form factors. So I was going to want to talk about that. And then I actually want to talk to you also about kind of the consumer crypto companies like yours that are kind of selling the best of both worlds, which is non-custodial wallets, but you don't have to manage your keys.
Yeah.
And, you know, savvy people on Farcaster always have questions of like, what does that actually mean? Where's the risk? What happens? Do you have access to private keys and all of that? So I meant to really push you on that, but you're gonna have to come back.
Well, let's ask that question because that was a really good question that came in, and then we can jump to our lightning round. But if you want to ask that, maybe answer that of like, go ahead. I'll have you pose it the way it was posed. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't posed this way, but this is how I've asked it before, is kind of like gun to head or federal subpoena in hand, you know, or bad out, you know, like, do you have access to all of the private keys and who has access and how do you kind of manage the non-custodial wallet, like the security of private keys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's nuance between trust and custody, right? And they're slightly actually different things, right? Everything you do, and this is, I'll give the 1 minute version of this answer. And I think to your point, we can come back and we can give the like 10 or 20 or 30 minute version. In our setups today, you know, to your point, like we cannot access keys. I cannot, there's no method in which I can access them, right? A user can also export their private key at any point and kind of take it with them. That's like a key part of this entire thing. There's several, and we can talk about it. There's several approaches that people take, either a trusted execution environment or a Shamir secret share or a threshold signature approach to doing all this stuff. But at the very just to answer your question directly, right, on that front, that all said, there are trust elements here, right, in general, right, because the key is not, you know, just on the user's end device, right? There might be a share in my system, or there might be a key that's stored in a KMS or a trusted execution environment. And so the discussion, and we should talk about, I guess, next time, the discussion is around what elements of trust do you have in that relationship. You also, as an example, just as an extreme example, you trust MetaMask a little bit, right? Because you trust them not to insert rogue code into their browser extension and extract your private key, right? There are elements of trust in all of these, right? You trust Apple, right? Because at the end of the day, we all are reliant on our operating system or Windows, I guess.
Right.
You know, I don't know if anyone's a Windows
or both,
user.
depending on
where in the stack. Yeah. This came up before. Is kind of there's where in the stack are you trusting?
Exactly. So these are, I think,
minding
I would just separate like custody conversations from like trust conversations. What are your trust assumptions as a user and as an end user when you do stuff? And your trust assumptions should be very different when you're playing a bracket game versus when you're managing $100 million, right? And that's why you see companies like Firebox who do a phenomenal job with MPC on kind of managing massive assets, but you also trust Firebox, right? So these are all, that was an extremely long way of saying there's some nuance here.
Yeah. Right. And and you seem, I know you're very active on Farcaster and you engage, so I imagine people can come and ask questions.
Everyone,
and push back, poke holes. Yeah. I think a lot of some of the questions we've gotten before that people have asked us, I think just kind of pushing back on the market. You know, some of it is here's the facts, and then here's kind of the marketing, how it's communicated and whatnot. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm always look. Let's start from the end result, which is everyone should have very clear visibility in how these things work. What are the assumptions being made? How does someone take their keys with them and kind of, leave, and what assumptions should be made per type of app they interact with. So absolutely, always happy to. That is a critical discussion to have.
Yeah.
Always happy to have that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the 1 minute version.
All right.
Or the 2.
We love it. Yeah. All right. Lightning round. Let's go.
All right.
Let's see what he's got. Let's scare him.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So
It's not scary.
we're all friends because we hang out on a social network, and there's a lot of URL to IRL connections and internet friends. So Itai, how old were you, and when did you make your first internet friend?
Wait, how old am I? And when?
No, how old were you?
No, how old were you?
How old were
When?
you when you made your first? When did you make your first internet, like true internet friend, someone you met online first?
That is a great question. I would assume I was probably 10 years old, 10 or 11 years old. And that's probably in either like probably one of the forums. I'll tell you exactly, actually. So I was 11 years old. I was very into, or 10 years old. I was very into design, and I posted things on an Israeli forum at the time about design, and I got a bunch of feedback based on that. And then I think I sold my first like logo at like 12, and that was to someone I've never met in real life, just purely through the internet.
Love these stories.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So you were like the online entrepreneur long before that was a thing. That's pretty cool.
At
11.
Yes, I had growing up, I had a web design company. And so, yes, I learned, it was very cool to be able to download Photoshop, to design a thing, to kind of sell it without ever meeting anyone in real life. I think the only real life element of this, and this is where crypto comes in, this was before crypto, the only is I actually got a check mailed to me, which I couldn't deposit because I was 11 years old. And so
because you were 11,
which was a problem, which was a big problem. And so it was, I still remember it to this day. I think I still have the check. It's 120 shekels, which at the time was like $30 for a logo, which I think I might have overpriced it. But you gotta start somewhere.
That's so funny. That's wild. A great story. I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead. Next.
Some harder questions. Mountain or beach?
Absolutely. Like mountain is in like hiking.
Sure.
Strong no.
Yeah, you want to hang out at a mountain or a beach?
No, beach. Strong no on hiking.
Okay, sporting event or concert?
Ooh, depends on which. Okay, there's some nuance to it. Sort of like the custody question. There's some nuance here. But
there's no nuance in lightning rounds. You can only answer.
I can't handle the pressure. Okay, so I would say sports.
All right.
Okay.
Night owl or morning? What is it? Or what's my night?
What?
Morning?
Night owl or early bird?
Yeah, that's
early
what I'm
bird.
trying to say.
Night owl. I do my best work at like 11 p.m. to like 1 a.m.
All right. What's your favorite channel on Farcaster?
It's a great question. What's my favorite channel on Farcaster? I am a huge fan of the memes channel. I gotta say,
Johnny's got another one. We get that answer a lot.
I try to actively participate.
Are you a
Awesome.
memer?
I love that.
I am a terrible memer, but I try nonetheless.
I love it.
Can you play an instrument?
No, I used to be able to play, but not anymore. My kid plays, which I count as, given he's my kid, then that technically means I play. He plays the electric guitar.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
What's the last book you read?
The last book I read, I will tell you. Does Audible count?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, so the last Audible, the real last Audible I listened to was Elon Musk's book, and I literally just downloaded Brave New Worlds by Salman Khan, who's the Khan Academy person. He talks about AI in education. So I literally have that, and then I'm listening to Read, Write, Own at the same time. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice.
So I'm downloading Read, Write, Own at the same time.
Nice.
Nice.
Do you know your Airstack social capital score?
No, I do not. Wait, is that the
This
thing
is a
we looked
new-
at earlier
This
today?
is a new question.
Just want to know.
There is, yeah.
You
that
have.
just came out this week.
It's a new. Do you have
you
the
check?
Farcaster OG NFT?
I do.
Oh, we're in the
Oh, cool.
presence of an OG.
Nice. Of
What
course.
is your
I
favorite?
was user 516.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what user. You have
Were
to
you
be active.
at that
Oh,
You
I
had
was
to be
Yeah,
active.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's one.
He was. Yeah.
All right. Kiwi skin on or off?
Wait, what?
When you eat a kiwi, do you eat it with the skin on or off?
Is there an option to you with the skin on?
Yes. And where were you last year when
Some
this
people-
was the
Some
This
people.
was a meme. Itai, this was a Farcaster meme for a long-lasting Farcaster
Wait, but
meme.
is there really now? Now I'm intrigued. Is there like an option?
People do it. We don't know
Really?
why.
Are they living amongst us?
Like
Or
an
are they
apple.
Yeah,
they're
they
very
founded
strange
Ethereum.
folks.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if I can be friends.
They are
with
someone-
you.
Vitalik eats the kiwi with the skin on. There you go.
Okay. I am no longer. I wasn't. I didn't know Vitalik
Yeah,
before.
now
But
you know.
I'm no
Now you
longer his
know.
friend then as a result.
There
Yeah,
you go.
I think we'll wrap it.
One more. Do you have
Oh.
one more? I had one more.
Oh,
Bot or not? No. Is
oh
he a bot?
yes. Do you know what bot or not says about you?
As of 45 minutes ago, I apparently do. When it was checked, I was very offended. I gotta say, I thought I
That's
didn't
so
realize
funny.
why so many people are checking, or 4 or 5 people have checked that in the bot or not.
It's because you're an influencer.
And what does it say?
So yeah, so
Influencer.
bot or not says you are a builder, which just so you know is the top tier of. There's different categories. You are a builder, and you cast about dynamic, Web3, dev, crypto, and Farcaster. I
there you
once
go.
was a builder, and I have been downgraded, and I'm
What
very upset
happened?
about it.
You got to
That's
go
rough.
ask the
I don't
angel
know.
about
It
that.
just the bot doesn't think I'm a builder anymore.
Aw, how sad.
I'm likely not a bot.
Should I?
But you're
should
still
I
not a
add
bot?
this?
I'm not a bot.
My
but-
favorite one.
Oh no,
was
good caster.
July.
It called me a good
It thought-
caster. That's what it was.
That's right,
It
you're a
said
good
good
caster.
caster. But I want to be a builder.
I loved it when it called July
be
a
a
bot.
caster.
I thought that was so funny. Likely a
Oh, that's
bot.
very
And like,
cool.
no, he's right here.
Oh my
He's
god,
not a
that's really
bot. He's a
hurtful.
human.
Can I add it? By the way,
So
can I
you
add
could have
this
been a
to my-
bot. It could have been worse. You could have been a bot. There you go.
Can I add this to my LinkedIn
thank you.
profile? Can I say I'm a builder in LinkedIn?
Yeah.
You
Is
can
that-
say you're
okay.
a builder. Yeah.
Love
There
it.
you go.
Love it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun, and I feel like I've learned a lot more about what Dynamic does, but also smart wallets and just all the different things that are coming, and I really appreciate that. Adrian, any other last thoughts?
Just
No, she's looking in the chat.
I apologize for going over an hour. We're
I know we never do that.
horrendously
We're
bad
very
with time
chatty
management. So
We're very chatty today. It's been a lot of fun.
This was fun,
So
yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we will be back on Monday at our regular time, 8:30 a.m. And next week we will have some fun announcements about On-Chain Summer that I'm really excited about. So until then, we have a lovely weekend. Happy Friday and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.